Virgo, now is the time to really trust and listen to your intuition, especially if the people around you are not sensing or admitting to the things that you are picking up. You might be reading between the lines and feeling things into people that they're not willing to say out loud, or maybe just genuinely don't know. And this could be about larger situations as well. This isn't necessarily about you and another person, but it feels like you have a really good read on the intuitive pulse of things at this time. And it's important that you're really listening to your intuition and that inner voice. Now, I do also get the sense that the astrology for you is a little bit challenging. I'm a Virgo myself, so we're kind of going through this together. And while this may be something that feels like it's hard to move forward with your ruling planet Mercury currently retrograde, there is a lot here that's also supporting you exploring your subconscious mind, seeing what is hidden, and that's also kind of feeding your intuition as well. So it may be worthwhile to go to a friend, a mentor, a therapist, someone that you really trust on kind of a psycho-spiritual level to kind of guide and listen and give feedback to you at this time, because I feel like that would be very affirming for you. Now, I do have some impressions that came through while connecting with your energy, as well as a couple of animal cards before we get into the tarot reading. But before we dive into all of that, I just want to take a moment to thank all of you who support this channel with your likes, shares, comments, and subscribes. If you've been following around for some time and have not done so already, I really encourage you to hit that subscribe and bell notification. That way you can always stay up to date with what's in the cards for you. And of course, that supports the channel and is very, very appreciated. I do also have the link in the description for my website where you can book personal readings and energy healing sessions with me. Maybe we can kind of work together and move through whatever is coming up for you or give you that affirmation that you need. So the animals that I really got here were interesting because I got the deer and the panther that came out separately. And when I first saw the deer, I got the sense like you are very aware, very perceptive, which deer often are. And the thing with this energy is while it's very beautiful, very graceful, very perceptive, it is ultimately a prey animal. And deer have that tendency to freeze up when they are alarmed or alert. And so I do get the sense that for some of you, if you're feeling this kind of fear or paralysis, it's important that you are connecting to the earth element right now, grounding yourself in whatever way is available to you and works for you. The deer is an earth elemental card, as we see from the symbol at the top here, and you yourself are an earth sign. So it does feel like there is something very valuable about you connecting to the earth. Deer is also really beautiful because it often does indicate a new beginning or something that is very fertile or life-giving, as well as very gentle and compassionate. And it feels like this is kind of the way to go through whatever might be lurking in the shadows here with Panther. And again, this is kind of affirming this message of doing shadow work, therapy, any sort of modality that is introspective and helping you see things that are not necessarily available or visible on the surface. And when I see this card, it kind of does remind me of the tower from the tarot card. And I don't want that to concern anybody, but I do feel like for some of you, the message that is here is that you are picking up on an ending or a change or something that's kind of happening behind the scenes, and you're aware of it. And while there's this tendency maybe to freeze up or to become paralyzed, I don't think that this is necessarily what you need to do. I think there does need to be some acknowledging and maybe even planning or preparing for what is about to happen or change. And I feel like this is almost a larger situation. This doesn't necessarily feel like it's just between you and another person, or if it is, it might affect other areas of your life as well. And why I'm not so concerned for you, Virgo, is while I was connecting with your energy, I actually saw a scrying bowl. I was kind of in this like shadowy, dark, mysterious temple, and it didn't feel evil or anything, but it was very mysterious. And I saw this bowl with water in it, and this is kind of an old way of divining or scrying, seeing things. And that's why it feels like to me, Virgo, you are in fact sensing things. And I also want to say with the deer and the panther, while you may be picking up on energy, it's not necessarily the worst case scenario, or it's not necessarily as bad as you think it is, but it is still important to pay attention to nonetheless. So while it does feel like you're kind of clocking something, I don't want this to cause you to panic. And I'm really, really curious to see what comes through in the tarot for you. This might really give us a sense of what exactly it is that you're picking up on. And while I'm shuffling, I think that this is a good time to just give a reminder that these are general readings, meaning not all of the messages in this video are necessarily meant to be for you. It's up to your own intuition and discernment to figure out what applies to your own life or what should be left behind for somebody else. And maybe some of these messages aren't even necessarily for you, but someone that you're close to or connecting with, and that could be regardless of zodiacal placement. So definitely feel free to share this video if you feel so called to do that. I even encourage you to take a moment to pause this video, really feel your breath, really ground yourself, maybe even feeling your feet on the floor or feeling yourself anchored in the seat or wherever it is that you are, and just really tuning into this energy and feeling that white light around you. So what are the messages for Virgo? What are the messages at this time? And actually, I'm feeling called to kind of visualize as I'm connecting a white flame around me. And I do feel like it's important for you to connect with your angels as well. That's something I'm sort of hearing and feeling. Maybe Archangel Michael. I'm also getting Gabriel for some reason, who is the messenger. Interesting. So the cards for the past, because I have a few that came out here and it all feels related. We have the Three of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles that came out together. And this feels very much like starting something solid with others. I don't think that this is just about you, or knowing what you are creating, who are you are creating for, or what you're working for, but it feels like it's a who. Or there are other people involved. Because the Ace of Pentacles really is a new beginning, often in the form of a new job or new project or new source of income. And it does feel like it's tied into other people, potentially something that is even collaborative or working together with like-minded people, maybe even planning some sort of celebration. There's something here that feels very positive, but it does feel like it stirred up a little bit of a fuss with the Five of Wands. And it kind of feels like while there are a group of people that you are working with or collaborating with, or at least fighting for at the very least, or working for, there are some challenges here with the Five of Wands. And I was kind of talking about how at the beginning of this reading, at the time of this recording, the astrology is a little bit challenging. We do actually have the planet Mars in your sign at the time of this recording, and Mars can bring conflict. It can make us need to stand up for things. And also, your ruling planet Mercury is moving backwards or retrograde in the sign of Leo, which for you represents things that are hidden, that are subconscious. So there really does seem to be some level of resistance that could be coming up. But ultimately, this is a timeless reading. So even if the astrology doesn't necessarily line up, maybe it's referring to something that happened at the end of July 2025, or perhaps there is something that is happening now or in the recent past from when you are watching this reading. So again, use your own intuition and discernment here to figure out how these apply to your life. What else do we have for Virgo? What else do we have for Virgo? Page of Swords. Yeah, I almost get the sense that maybe in the past, while there has been some naysayers or some conflict, I feel like ultimately you've just continued on doing what you've been doing. Maybe there's even a sense of rivalry, which is sometimes what the Page of Swords can represent. And that could be what this Five of Wands is about. But honestly, when I often see the Five of Wands, it very rarely feels like productive conflict. And I'm really being drawn to these pitchforks. It's almost like there's scapegoating or projection or looking for somebody to blame. And maybe that's you or someone that you are close to. But I feel like you've just been carrying on. There could also be an internal conflict that's going on with a group of people that you have a commitment with or a commitment to. That's another way I could potentially see this energy. But regardless, it feels like you've sort of been dealing with this. Maybe you've been acknowledging it, but for some reason with this Page of Swords, it feels like you're just moving forward. You know, I see with this card here, the book. And like, yes, you're moving forward, but it's like you've not necessarily been paying attention. Oh, I already know what's happening. What I am getting, and I feel like this is actually for many of you, there is a person in your life who is kind of having this pattern of fallen relationships or discordance or conflict. And it feels like you're actually in the good nature of this person or in this person's good side. But you're starting to catch on, or at least this reading is starting to tell you, maybe this person is more responsible for what is going on in their relationships than they are letting on. Because it almost feels like there is somebody being scapegoated by somebody else. Maybe they're starting to do this with you, or maybe they're doing it with somebody else. And I feel like it's more the latter, actually, which is kind of interesting. Because I feel like you're picking up on this. It's not necessarily something that's in your face just yet, but I feel like you're seeing someone's true colors. And before I started shuffling again, I did see the Knight of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, which is actually one of your indicator cards, Virgo. And the Knight of Pentacles to me is someone who's very reliable, very much focused on getting the job done, just doing what needs to be done. And again, that just sort of feels like the affirmation of what I was getting with this Page of Swords. You're working very hard towards something, or just being very consistent. It almost feels like staying out of it. Like you've kind of stayed out of a conflict or situation. And maybe because you know on some level with the Five of Swords, or I'm sorry, the Five of Wands, it's not necessarily worthwhile. What's interesting is that the Five of Swords, which I just said as a misspoken card, that is actually a card of walking away from conflicts that can't be won, or distancing yourself from those situations. Interesting. The Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups with the High Priestess. Yeah, that's just what I was getting. I really feel like this is about your intuition right now, Virgo. You are seeing someone's true nature. You're seeing their heart. You're seeing their emotional state, their trauma, quite clearly. And something is occurring to you right now. You know, sometimes the Ace of Cups is about new relationships, new emotional beginnings, but this actually feels more like it's about you listening to your heart, you listening to your intuition, and that was confirmed for me by this High Priestess. I'm getting like martyr. I don't know why that's coming in. But it doesn't feel real. And I don't know if that's because you or someone else is martyring themselves for something that's not actually worth martyring for. Or there's someone who's acting like a martyr, but it's an act. It's not real. It's not genuine. Four of Swords. Resting, meditating, contemplating. You might be having dreams about a person or situation that could also be giving you more insight into what's going on. Why is the Four of Swords here as the change, as the challenge? Okay. Four of Swords with the Judgment card. I am getting the sense of a wake-up call. You are getting a wake-up call, Virgo. Oof. And maybe you've gotten this before, but then there's sort of a period of peace. Do not let yourself succumb to a false sense of peace or ease or rest. I hate giving this message, but it's genuinely what is coming through, especially if this is a pattern with a person or situation in your life where it's like, okay, things feel settled. That was really hard, or there was a lot of conflict or drama, but now things are comfortable again. You know the cycle is going to repeat deep down. You know this is something that is going to happen. And if you keep trying to ignore it or just waiting for it to change, it's not going to happen. It's going to come back, or there's going to be something even bigger than before. Really pay attention to your intuition. Really trust your perception right now, Virgo. Because as much as this period of time is about you becoming aware of your subconscious, what you are keeping hidden from yourself, I do get the sense that a lot of you are also picking up on the shadow side, what is hidden in other people. And maybe some of you know that, and you're trying to walk away from a situation quietly. Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Death and the Ten of Swords. So I saw the Ten of Swords first, and I was like, something is coming to an end. It's happening. Whether you are... honestly, like, there's just going to be this moment where it's like you cannot continue with somebody. It might be involving a sibling. It might be involving a friend. Whoever this is about, something is changing. And something is like unignorable with the Ten of Swords. And sometimes this is a card of betrayal. Can be a card that is quite painful, or there is some drama here. And the Death card is also a card of endings, of change, of transformation, and it's usually a change that you cannot reverse. That is also how I see it. Like, whatever is about to happen, you can't go back to seeing things the way that you saw them. And again, this is like someone showing their true colors, or perhaps even turning against you. There is a positive in this combination, though, because sometimes when we see the Death card, it isn't actually a bad card. It's not meant to be a bad card, even if it challenges us, even if things like death are maybe painful or bring up big emotions. Sometimes death is actually a very welcome change. And when I see death in conjunction with the Ten of Swords, I feel like there is an ending that has long been overdue, and there's also an end to suffering. And it's like the more you're enduring things and trying to make things work where they just aren't working, the more pain you are putting yourself through. So while the Ten of Swords and death might feel a bit abrupt and shocking, it ultimately represents the end of something that is painful. I knew this was going to be kind of an intense reading. I had that feeling. And I did just see at the top of the deck, the Six of Pentacles was flipped over. And this can be receiving support from others. There could also be this theme of someone taking advantage of your generosity. Are you receiving what you are giving? That could also be something to reflect on as well. Because I do feel like someone is playing the victim. And like, that can kind of be a dangerous thing. Because if someone really believes they're a victim all the time, they can always justify their actions. And I feel like this is an energy that's around you. Maybe for some of you, it's you. It could be. That might be something to reflect on, to sit on. But I really think that this is about somebody you are connecting with. That's how this is coming to me. And honestly, it feels like there's sort of this shock And with Judgment, whatever is hidden, whatever is dormant, this is a cicada in the Four of Swords. There is something screaming awake. Even if there's periods of dormancy, or it feels like this is kind of making you second guess yourself, this is actually the thing that I think is the source of self-doubt that I was getting from the beginning. You're picking up on things, you're sensing things, and because it hasn't happened yet, or there's been some time that has passed, you might be like, oh, well, maybe I'm just imagining things. I guess this didn't happen. Or I thought this would have happened by now. It honestly could be about something larger, too. This could, frankly, be about, like, the world. Because I do feel like we are in a very catalytic time. There are very big disruptive changes that are in store. And so for some of you, it could literally just be about this. And coming together with community, finding your real support, your real friends, your real allies. And you are finding genuine support. I think you already have it. At least a lot of you do. But it almost feels like there's someone in the group that has been blaming other people. And like, it's giving me the kind of archetype of what is called a communal narcissist. This is actually a psychological term. And a communal narcissist is someone who is narcissistic in a way where they get their validation and they look good to other people by the causes that they adopt. And it's actually kind of a weird, contentious form of narcissism, because on the surface, they might actually be doing good work in the world. They might actually be doing causes or supporting things that help other people, but they're doing it for their own validation, for narcissistic purposes. And very often, these people are a nightmare to work with or to be close with. And they take all the credit for everybody else's work. So that might be something to look into. And what's interesting is that I do feel like you're not the only person involved in this situation. And maybe a group of you are even exiting together. I'm almost getting exodus. Interesting. Interesting. What else do we have for Virgo? What are the blessings for Virgo right now? Because I feel like this has kind of been... Ooh, I love this. We have the Emperor with the Knight of Cups. You are really stepping into your power. And the thing is, Virgo, like, act with integrity, know what is true in your heart, and move in that direction. And I feel like Virgo very often does have to play the role of the bigger person. And it's funny because I also see this Emperor and this Knight of Cups. The Emperor is looking at the Knight of Cups, who's kind of off going in a different direction. And sometimes the Emperor does represent somebody who has an ego complex. They kind of power trip. So again, for some of you, this is what this is representing. But I really feel like the first thing that came in was that you are stepping into your own authority. You're listening to your heart, you're listening to your intuition, and there is stability, there is power in that. So don't be afraid to venture off, go off the beaten path. There are blessings that are there for you, whether this is about you looking for a new job, a new group of people, new relationships. You kind of know the direction you need to go in, and I don't want you to feel stuck or paralyzed, which I kind of got with the deer and the panther at the very beginning. We also have the Queen of Wands and the Knight of Cups. You're finally getting recognition. Like, you're not being overshadowed anymore by someone's selfish or frankly narcissistic behavior. You are getting a chance to shine. I feel like someone has taken credit for the work that you have done, Virgo, or even stolen your ideas. But even if this has happened, it doesn't have your heart. They can't make it work the way you can. So I hope that's something that you really feel. This is a blessing for you. I do feel like there's success, there's achievement, there's recognition, there's something you're really celebrating. Nine of Cups is one of the best cards you can pull, because it does indicate that intrinsic fulfillment of something. And we have these trophies. We have these things that you feel good on. And we see these pedestals, these platforms. Your successes are building upon each other. And all the things that you have done were not for nothing, Virgo. And it's interesting that we have the number 9 in the Nine of Cups. We also have 9 lives in this Queen of Wands. And maybe there is something about that resilience. You know, you've gone through many different chapters, many different lives. And I feel like you're stepping into a chapter, Virgo, that's like, you get to be the main character. You don't have to work for people who take you for granted or who are only taking from you. I think, is there any other message for Virgo? We have the Chariot. Yeah, I feel like you're becoming much more bold, or my apologies. You're becoming bolder with your life. Choosing your own direction. And that is part of the blessing here. You can't control other people, and I feel like for some of you, maybe you've been in this place of almost doing PR for somebody, like, oh, you know, they don't mean that, or yeah, they come off strong, but that's just because of their trauma or something like that. Like, you're not doing that anymore. You're only taking charge and ownership of what is yours. And you're going to be a lot more powerful for it, Virgo. And I feel like you're going to find success faster than you realize. You're going to get recognition faster than you realize. Knight of Cups can also be about love, romance as well, really solid relationships. And even though, unfortunately, I do get the sense of relationships ending or connections ending, there is still this undercurrent of lasting relationship, whether these are people you're already connected to or a new person or new people you are meeting. I get the sense of a very strong, heartfelt relationship that is present for you as well. So I hope that gives you some things to feel good about. And I don't ever give these messages to scare people or to put you at ill ease. This is all about affirming what you are picking up. So if this isn't really making sense to you, maybe this isn't a reading that's meant for you. But if you've reached all the way to the end here and this did give you some things to think about, this did give you those affirmations, definitely drop an emoji here. Maybe that panther or deer emoji. I don't know if there's a panther. I think there's a black cat. You know, let us know that you've made it all the way to the end. Who is this person who we're kind of describing here? Definitely comment down below. Again, I really appreciate all the support you give this channel with your likes, shares, comments, and subscribes. It helps me continue doing this work. And if you'd like to work together one-on-one, you can book a reading or energy healing session with me using the link in the description for my website. You're also welcome to check out the playlist for all the other videos on my channel, maybe checking for your moon or rising or sun sign. There could be messages for you there as well. And ultimately, I trust you to just follow your intuition and choose the video that you feel drawn to. And I will see you all in the next video, Virgo, sending lots of love and blessings your way. Take care.